Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the session on building and sustaining brands in and post-COVID. So we have today Ms. Prabha Narasimhan as moderator, who is Executive Director at Hindustan Unilever. We have Mr. Samir Satpathy, Chief Executive Personal Care ITC, Mr. Varun Alagh, Co-founder and CEO Mamaearth, and Mr. Anil Vishwanathan, Director Marketing Mondelez India. Over to you, Ms. Prabha Narasimhan.
Thanks very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us at this session. I was just reflecting that in most of these sessions, there is always one block that talks about brands. And I think that perhaps in today's world that's been turned slightly upside down, it's probably more important than ever to discuss brands. And this is because we live in a time where I think governments have been challenged, public institutions have been challenged, really the entire status quo of what and how we live has been challenged. And in all of this, consumers are facing rising concerns. They're certainly talking to us about increased concern on their and their family's health, increased concern on what the future will hold and what it will be like, increased concerns on what's happening to the education of their children now and what kind of lives their children are leading, increased concerns on what's happening to mental health with the way that we've been operating over the last little while. So in this new world, they really are looking for sources that will give them a competent, a credible, and a trustworthy answer to know what's going on and help them really to sift the vast amounts of information that is being fed to them every day from various sources. And this is where comes all of the brands. And brands really play an exceedingly large role in this space. I was reading a report by the Edelman Trust Barometer, and that indicated that nearly 2 out of 3 consumers in a global survey indicated that they thought that their country would not make it through the crisis if brands did not play a critical role in addressing the various challenges that exist today. And in this context, they actually believe, or at least half the consumers believe, that brands are actually doing a good job of addressing these challenges and helping them to sort out what is the new normal and navigate it. So today, with that introduction, really, we have 3 people who are going to talk to us about how their brands have navigated this post-COVID world, what they have done to make sure that they are giving consumers an opportunity to live what we call a new normal life or a post-COVID life. And it's absolutely my great privilege to introduce these 3 gentlemen. So Samir Satpathy is the Chief Executive of ITC, and he will talk about Savlon, which is a brand that was really well placed during this COVID crisis and what they've done with this brand. Then we'll have Varun Alagh, who is the co-founder and CEO of a really exciting brand called Mamaearth, which I'm sure most of you would have seen. And finally, we'll have Anil Vishwanathan, who is the Director Marketing of, I'm sure, everybody's all-time favorite category, chocolates, at Mondelez. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Samir. All yours, Samir.
Thank you, Prabha. Tanmay, can I have the control, please? Tanmay, I need to share the presentation. Can you give me the rights?
Sure, sir. I'll give it to you.
So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can see my presentation. So when we got into, this is in March, and the only question we had was that we had questions. There was a lot of uncertainty, and all of us were uncertain. And there were many questions, and I'm talking about the first 6 months. So, they were at a very basic level, that how do you keep our people safe? How do you run operations? How long will COVID last? Because was it going to be a week? Was it going to be the first month and a half? And as a marketer, you're looking at things and you're saying, are the new states emerging? Is there something we need to do? If we need to do that, can we formulate these new products? Can we, Can we test them? How do you secure our supply chains and manufacturing assets? So how do you produce it? And at what level do you produce? And how do you distribute or advertise it at scale? So there are a lot of questions. And if you look at all these questions, and you spend too much time on the questions also, you wouldn't do anything. So the one thing which is a credo as far as IDC is concerned, I think we take it very seriously, is that it's India first. So a couple of things that drive us is that we see ourselves as a national champion. We know that the country needs us, and we have to. And just to build on what Prabha said, brands and companies had to step up their game to say that yes, we are there. We are there with whatever needs the consumer might have, and also a larger social outreach than what we have ever done before. As far as ITC was concerned, we set up a contingency fund around 215 crores. Some of these, we contributed 100 crores to the PM's Care Fund. We went state by state, and a lot of states, we dealt with a government to government kind of interaction. But we also went to consumers. So we delivered food, we delivered essentials, we delivered in major metros, especially in the beginning where there was a lot of apprehension on supply chains not working, of sales systems not working as well as they did, some shops closing down. We said we are reassured consumers saying, don't worry, we will try to do as much as we can. And we changed our manufacturing footprint. We changed the way we do things. We worked in a very different manner. And if I look at the team and the extended teams and our vendors and our partners, I think everybody was working with the spirit that the country needs us. It was never about a business. It was the country needs us. We need to produce, because if we don't produce and if we don't distribute at scale, there could be shortages which will lead to panic and public panic. And we had some strategic partnerships with partners like Domino's. We repurposed our Manpura plant so that we could manufacture sanitizers on scale. All this was done very quickly and very, very, with a lot of speed and rigor. And we reached out to vulnerable groups across states and did whatever we could in our part to make sure that what we were doing was in the right direction for society, for the country. The other thing which we always balance it up with is the consumer first approach. So country first and consumer first. And over here, just to build on what Prabha said, consumers needed trusted brands, they needed products, they needed some new products. And this was emerging as we were going along. And our teams were working with consumers digitally, trying to identify these new states. We were feeding it back into our innovation teams, which we were already working on some aspects, but we accelerated some of them. Some of these we built new, and we couldn't have done it without our partners from raw material suppliers to packaging suppliers to technology suppliers who went out of their way to make sure that we were ready for whatever the market wanted. Also, a lot of work on the people side of it, and I think I'll touch upon it in my presentation as we go along. So I think this is what summed up our approach, and I think this is a beautiful line which I read, during this pandemic, that is, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. So there were three things which we did: protect, prioritize, and pivot. Protect was key because what we were saying is we have to secure our people, our manufacturing and supply chain and distribution networks. How do we keep them secure? How do we make them feel secure? How do we make sure that the factory is a more secure place than the environment outside so that people feel safe to come to work? And we started manufacturing from day one. And in our case, it was not about reaching pre-COVID levels. In our case, it was trying to manufacture 4 or 5 times what we were normally doing. So that was a different kind of challenge, which I think our teams, I think when I look back to it, I think it was very, very beautifully done, that they were able to manage all of this. They worked with local civil administration, they worked with the local government to make sure that our sites were open, our vendors were able to supply us, and we were able to supply the market. The second was the pulse of the consumers, which I've talked to you about. There was a paranoia which was going around, and we were saying, hey, what is that we can do to reassure these consumers? What are the kind of products which will make it a little easier for them? And we also were looking at the outside the world, because China was going through the pandemic, and they were 3-4 months ahead of us. We were looking at the China market and seeing what was happening there, and if there were any insights, both in terms of product, channel, etc., and we were feeding it back into what we were doing over here. It led to a repurposing of the manufacturing, repurposing of teams, because we put people where they were required as opposed to traditional structures. Leveraging technology, I think all of us have done that, supporting offices and homes, 24-hour connectivity, and innovation SWAT teams which were working on specific problems and trying to deliver on that. So what has worked well for us, I think, was the pace of innovation. I think we picked up the consumer insights early, trends early, and we were able to execute on them. Rapid scale up, we opened new vendors, we increased the speeds of our line, we increased capacity, and we increased efficiency. We did all of those things because there's no other way of supplying the market. New vendors were onboarded. All of this was being done. R&D started working on day one. They were working at 25%, 30% in terms of total numbers, but they were working only on the critical problems, and they were solving critical problems from day one. Speed to market, I think we picked up e-commerce because e-commerce is a channel we betted on. We said, hey, this is going to really expand because consumers are going to reach out to our channel. So we beefed up the team, we beefed up our engagement, we beefed up our investments so that we could supply the market well. The Chemist channel also is something which we picked up early because these are the only shops which were allowed to be open during lockdowns also. So they started selling a host of goods. So we were able to scale up our business in this channel also. And the distribution network held. I think that was a great thing for us that from day one, the shop was open. And in case, the markets were closed, our distributors sold from outside their distributor point. So they did what were called counter sales because the whole thing was that we would keep the market supplied, come what may. So as far as the innovation was concerned, there were various things which happened parallelly. I would just put it in a structure to make it a little more decipherable to all of you. So one was on personal protection, so the sanitizers, the soaps, the body washes. So this was the most obvious pieces of innovation. Surface protection, because we picked up after personal protection, people were trying to sanitize their surroundings. So the surface disinfectant spray, Savlon, I think that was one of the first products which we launched. It from concept to execution, we did it in 24 days. So I think this was one of the fastest. We launched a clothes disinfectant spray, which is especially for now when people don't wash their clothes very often, woolens, etc., etc. So there might be a need for some products like this. There were multi-purpose disinfectants for your kitchen. There were also some consumers who looked for naturals because naturals was something which is for people who don't buy into the idea of using chemicals near them. So whether it was a vegetable and fruit wash, which is 100% natural, we extended the Nimile brand to launch Nim Wash. Safety on the go. I think germ protection wipes, this is not an insight. This we just shifted the idea from China. We said, hey, wipes, I know in India it doesn't work, but it was the number one, category in terms of increase. So we said this could be the time when Indians could take to wipes and they would have specific needs when they go out. So Savlon and the Savlon masks, this we have just launched 2-3 months back. This took us a little more time because we're not in the business. To understand the technology, getting the right product, getting it absolutely right, took more time than a lot of the other products which we were already, at least we were somewhere in adjacent businesses. And now as winter comes in, and also some of the issues which emerged from overusage of some of these products, because consumers felt that their hands were a little more dry because they were overusing sanitizers. So an anti-bac hand cream has just been launched. And also for a lot of consumers had stopped going to parlors. So we've just launched a biocellulose, which is based on 100% coconut water under Dermafic. So this adheres better to your skin and also delivers a lot of actives much better than normal sheet mask. So this is a very different kind of product. So different products, different need states, and I think we were all able to put them into market and in scale. One of the reasons we were able to do that was that we have a great backing in the Life Sciences and Technology Center. We accelerated our innovation pipeline. We have a large number of scientists, maybe one of the largest facilities in India as far as R&D is concerned. And we have centers of excellence. So a lot of these centers of excellence, and I'm just talking about the personal care business right now. So these are the centers of excellence we have. And all of them collaborated. For example, for launching of the disinfectant spray, the propulsion part of it was, the fragrance team already knew about it. And they worked with the health and hygiene team to combine and launch the product. So it was for something like Nim Wash, which was the vegetable wash. We had the Agri Sciences teams from our Agri division. We had the Food Sciences team from our Food division. And we also had the Health and Hygiene team. So various teams across working together, collaborating very quickly to deliver on the innovation agenda. The other thing which we tried and we've always tried to do is, ITC as a brand has always had purpose and in terms of nation building, in terms of societal good. And our brands also tend to do the same. So for Savlon, a lot of work which happened in the communication side in public interest was, first one was to join the chain of protection, which talked about uses of why you should be using sanitizers. Then there was something on mask hai mazak nahi, which was how to wear the mask properly, and that the need that we need to wear a mask. On World Hand Washing Day, we had a piece of communication on no hands unwashed. I'll talk a bit about that later. We did some work about saluting women doctors, nurses and philanthropists with seminar. And also we looked at Vivel Voice of Art, which was a narrative which promotes equality through art. Tiama talked a lot about positivity because this is a brand which talks about the joy of bathing. So we knew the consumers were a bit stressed, they were locked in. So the need to positivize them, give them positive news, give them happy news, also give them some outreach in terms of mental well-being is something which we did. And lastly, but not the least, Engage. This is a brand which was, was badly affected in the COVID period. And what we said was that, but the brand still had social presence. We talk about Engage Responsibly, which were reaching out to the elderly. So old age homes across the country were provided essentials through this initiative. And when the lockdowns went down, we had something called Engage Festival, which is in line with what the brand does. What we have also tried to do was create positive and impactful communication, because we believe that, and I personally believe that, it's easy to segment consumers, but what brands should always work for is to bring all consumers together at points of convergence. So if we can get more stories which uplift everybody, which everybody feels happy seeing, I think that is good, not only for the brand, but also for the public discourse which is happening out there. So that's something which we did, and I think this piece of communication on no hand unwashed, I think is one of my favorites. I think, and this we did in the lockdown, so hey, it's I think beautifully done by the teams concerned. E-commerce, I think, did extremely well. From where we started, I think, to where we ended, I think we are 4x of what we were in the pre-COVID period. It's massive, and it's become it's a very large channel for us today. And it also helped us really get the innovations out, and all thanks to our partners, whether it was Amazon, Nykaa, Flipkart, BigBasket. I think they've done a great job during this lockdown. For the growth, I think these are numbers which I think for me also look very interesting, because 30% coming from NPI for an FMCG company usually is difficult. So it's a great number, and I think the teams have done an extremely good job to do that. And we did it at a level where we made a little more money. It's good for the organization also. So the question we are left with, I think, as we end the 6 months, is that how do we sustain this growth momentum? So I think the questions we are left with today are, how long will COVID last? Will the consumption of discretionary categories come back? What of these needs are going to continue over the next 6 or 9 months, and what new might emerge? What is the inventory risk do we take? Do we build pipelines? Do we reduce pipelines? Now, these are questions which we are in the process of answering to the best of our abilities. And I'm sure some of you are also grappling with the same question. So I'll finish with a quote from Margaret Thatcher. I think I love this one also. You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. So thank you very much for patiently listening to me. And I'll hand it over to Varun. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. This was amazing. The pace of innovation is making us startups look bad, is what I would say. It's amazing what you guys have achieved with Savlon, as well as the overall impact. And thank you, Team CII, for having me as a part of this August panel. Happy to share our story and what we have been doing. And I, in fact, don't have a presentation. I'm just going to take you through our story and try and capture the key things around how we are going about building the brand and what we believe future lies for brand building, and through that story itself. And the story actually needs to start with our personal story, because this brand is born out of a personal need that me and my wife went through. And circa 2014, we were blessed with a baby boy. That's when we realized how life-changing parenting can be, and how you suddenly want everything to be first time right, and you don't want to take a wrong decision. I always say that in corporate life you always have these pilots where you can do something, learn from it, and do better when the project gets rolled out, right? But parenting does not have any pilots. You've got to do it right the first time, and that sort of just makes you conscious of all the choices that you're going to make. And before that, while I had worked in the personal care industry as part of Unilever itself, but we never thought of it in that detail on how the transdermal absorption of the products works, and when we were applying it on the baby, we were very cognizant of that fact that whatever we are applying is getting absorbed, and hence we were a little worried of what we are using on our baby. Ghazal had spent 6 months before that in New York, and she was a little more aware around some of the toxin-free proposition brands which were shaping up there, where you were a little more satisfied, as well as felt a little more confident around the products that you're using, and which is how we started having that conversation that someone should do something about it, right? And ideally passing on the buck to the Unilevers and ITCs of the world, saying, hey, why are they not launching brands like these in India? And that conversation became an idea. The idea became a mission and a purpose, with which we started Mamaearth. 2016 is when we quit our jobs and started working on this brand. Early 2016 and end of 2016, December, is when we launched Mamaearth with a set of 5 products as Asia's first brand with Made Safe certification. Checking for almost 8,000 known harmful ingredients across the world and ensuring they were not a part of any of our products. And we just completed 4 years 2 days back, right? We had a nice anniversary celebration, and it's been a fantastic journey. And the love that we have received from our consumers, from the Indian consumer has been phenomenal. And very early into this brand launch, one of the things that we started seeing when we talk to our consumers, that's the big difference, right? I mean, first couple of months, we were talking to everyone who was buying our products, and we were calling them. We were trying to understand, hey, how did you get to know about it? What did you like about it? Why are you buying this? And what we heard really created a foundation for how we have built this brand, right? We were expecting to hear, we like the products, we like the fact that there is no toxins in it, or we like the fact that this has citronella, this has cocoa butter, or whatever other positive ingredients in it. But all of those were mentioned, but with much lesser intensity than our why behind starting the brand. And that was mentioned most often. And they believed that we were parents who were trying to make a difference. And they believed that this approach and the reason why we are doing this is why they want to buy from us, is why they are loving our products. And they believed in the shared story. And then that just made us feel that this century, or the way to build brands, and what we usually refer to as purpose-based brand building, is all about getting people to buy into your why. And if they buy into your why, then they will not just buy your what, they will buy whatever you sell, right, rather than what you sell. And that is how the bedrock of our brand building got created for us. We have in fact been doing a lot of work around building brand purpose, sustaining brand purpose, and how do we create this as the bedrock of the company itself as we get into launching more brands. And we've in fact internally created a framework, which is a 3P framework, and which talks about how your brand purpose needs to come alive in your product, and your processes, and your perspectives. And so, if we talk about Mamaearth, and Mamaearth is all about goodness inside, and that's how we started it. And from a product perspective, the goodness inside is no nasties, goodness of nature. And from a process perspective, we are a plastic positive brand. We are a PETA certified cruelty free brand. We are a brand which plants trees linked to the orders that you place on our website, and you can actually see that tree being planted. And from a perspective, we believe goodness is a verb, right? And beauty is also a verb. And we don't believe beauty is how you look. We don't believe beauty is how you feel. And we believe you're beautiful because of what you do, and that's the perspective that we'll probably take out and move forward with, right? So building that purpose is now a foundation of how we want to approach our brands, and that is what has helped us reach wherever we've been able to reach in this span of 4 years. And what we also believe is social media and technology have made this far more easier than what it used to be. And if you look at, let's say, even a decade back, and in all of your, what we used to do, analysis of drivers on brand growth, and most often amongst the top 3 drivers, there used to be word of mouth. But then as brand managers, we used to be like, hey, who can control this, right? So you can't do anything about that one, right? Let's look at the second, third, fourth one. Okay, TV is there, or print is there, or in-shop advertising is there, etc. Right? But that factor always remained high. And with social, now you have power to control and spread stories in a certain way. Which is what, so after realizing that, okay, this is what was working, the why is what is working, and hence it's critical to spread the story. Then we started focusing all our energies on how do we get to the story to spread, how do we create a model through which it gets it reaches the relevant kind of people, and which is where we started creating relevant content, funneling it out to the right TG in Facebook, Google ecosystems, and which is where we also started using influencers, right, at all scales, right? We of course started with active mothers in communities who had a voice, and we moved on to bloggers, influencers on Instagram who had certain following, and we even got someone like a Shilpa Shetty who then presented that same credible face, but at a mass level. Her media and her social presence we used extensively to spread that same story. And so the communication insight remains same. Millennials trust other millennials, or moms trust other moms initially, and we used the new technology and social media extensively to get that story to spread. And again, from a perspective of building why-based, purpose-based brands, when earlier we did not have these tools available, but now with these tools, it's become far more easier to spread that story in the right manner. And in fact, that's what we sort of continue to do. And the third thing that I would talk about from the brand journey is again something which remains absolutely first principles from a brand building perspective, is listening to consumers. And we again now have been using technology intensively to listen in, to understand what kind of trends are shaping and innovate on trend. And Samir talked about during COVID, we again remained very aggressive on innovation, and while sticking to the categories that we operate in, but picking up ingredients like a vitamin C, which was trending aggressively, which became very relevant during these times, and it was already showing up in our tools as significantly high scope with significant search volume. So we innovated a complete range on vitamin C, and that really helped us create a large revenue chunk from that range, right? So and listening is now a very critical part of the organization DNA, not just from a tools perspective, but every employee inside the company talks to at least 25 consumers every quarter and listens in, tries to understand what their needs are, and to ensure we are creating products, we are creating brand messaging which is absolutely in line with what people resonate with, and that is what has sort of helped us do well. COVID has in fact helped us grow at an even faster pace, and because early on we had seen certain signals from like increased content consumption on digital, like increased traffic from tier 3 and beyond across all platforms, and all of these signals were pointing towards significantly healthier e-commerce channel growth, and which is our core bread and butter. 85% of our sales are from online as a channel, and that's where we started putting aggressive monies and spends starting May itself, and which is when most of the folks had taken a little more conservative stands around marketing and brand building, and we kind of got 3 months of really open field and play with really low CPMs to acquire a lot of consumers into the brand, and that traction in fact even continues to help us today, because we acquired a large chunk of consumers at that time, and so we've been aggressive throughout the period, and we have seen our contribution to our business from tier 3 and beyond increasing tremendously. We in fact serve more than 12,000 pin codes now from our own website, which is tremendous. I mean, I didn't imagine 4 years back that we'd be able to achieve that through online as a channel, and but yeah, so that in gist is what our story and experience on building the brand, sustaining the brand, and even growing the brand during the COVID times is. Thank you so much for listening. And I'd now ask Anil to share his story of how they are doing things at Mondelez.
Thank you, Varun. And thank you, CIF, for having me here. A super interesting panel. Thank you for the setup, Prabha. Brands is something that we love talking about. As I share my screen and take you through our journey on Cadbury, firstly, I would like to compliment Samir and Varun. Samir, wonderful story of ITC and Savlon. And, just as a family, I can almost relate to how the franchise has come into the home, starting from personal into surface into on the go, you name it, we have it. So we are a Savlon family. And Varun, wonderful story, very touching, of course, when you hear such a strong personal context to the way you built the brand. Compliments on your 4-year journey. Our family kind of transitioned from being a diaper family where daughter turned 7, actually 9 in 2016. So we haven't bought into your products yet, but as you're expanding your franchise very soon, will be part of your community very soon. So compliments, Varun. I think, Varun, you also set up the context beautifully about how purpose becomes very integral to the way a business is built and the way brands are built, and how consumers engage with brands in a very different manner when they're able to relate to the purpose, to the context, to the why, as very nicely put by Varun. And a very different category from what Samir and Varun have spoken about, and a different context. And in our own way, let me try and talk to you about how our journey on purpose for Cadbury has helped us pivot, not only in terms of the way we've managed the current crisis, but also prior to that, a 3 to 4 year journey of how it's also driven growth for brand Cadbury. Just stepping back, so what's the Cadbury brand purpose? Why do we exist? What do we celebrate? And really, we've over a period of time built in the last 3 years, Cadbury as a brand that stands for generosity. It's a global pivot. It happened 3 years back, and across the globe we have transitioned. Why generosity? It is at the roots of the Cadbury family. When Cadbury set up, the Quaker roots of the family set up the brand in a very different way, and over the years have done many pioneering things which set the brand up as something which is just beyond selling more of its product, but also creating a community and working towards its entire stakeholders and the wellness of their stakeholders. So a strong value at the roots of the organization, also translating into the core of the product, which we call the glass and a half of milk. So every single bar of a pound of Cadbury Dairy Milk is a glass and a half of milk, and that's at the root and one of the core attributes. What makes this the taste of the nation is its unique attribute of the milk that it has in its product, and that's what gives it its unique taste. So generosity is at the heart of the way we make our products. It's at the heart of the values, and hence is something that we can own uniquely. And what does generosity translate in from a consumer standpoint? It's really about bringing out the goodness in everyone. I think the consumer tension all around us is really the fact that people are getting increasingly self-centered. There are much more bias towards people are looking at their own self-interest and putting that ahead of others. And I think the need of the world, as we find, is the fact that we need to. There's definitely goodness in each of us. We just need to shine a light on it. Small acts that brings it out. Small acts that can help unite. Small acts that can let people shed their inhibitions and connect. As a brand, we've always stood for that. Stood for shared good feelings, bringing out a smile, celebrating good moments. And it's really that we wanted to elevate into something which is more purposeful. And that's where generosity took roots. As we looked at it globally, the global line is all about there's a glass and a half in everyone. And we've translated that into something which is much more contextual in India, where we talk about achai. Kuch acha ho jaye, kuch meetha ho jaye has been the journey that we've set in the last 3 years. Building up from the 13-year journey of establishing Cadbury and chocolates as an alternative to traditional Indian sweets. And that's really helped us grow the category and build our brand. And we thought it's a natural progression for us to talk about the sweetness and goodness in people and not just in our products, and laddering up from sweetness in our product to sweetness in people really made us, think of this as a much larger and a much more purposeful way of building our brand. And it manifests right from 2018 in not just different things that we told consumers in terms of storytelling, of how our elder sibling sacrifices chocolate to his younger sibling in a cute way, but also into myriad activations, because the moment you have a purpose or something to talk about, as very nicely said by Varun, in today's environment, I think the ability to personalize and customize and to have a two-way conversation allows you to engage with the consumer in a way which is very different from a traditional way of storytelling. And that's where we started seeing the opportunity to build and create so many different initiatives through which we can make a little bit more purposeful connection with consumers. Be it during Friendship Day through Purple Hearts, where we took on trolling, be it the Unity Bar, where we wanted to talk about inclusiveness, be it the way we wanted to drive the value of a wrapper, which is typically thrown away, and how can we use that to give extra data to consumers. So I think we found that the moment we took the purpose seriously and built the self-belief in ourselves that yes, it is about selling a chocolate, but it's also about doing a little bit by the brand for the people, which makes a meaningful difference to their life. And I think over the years we found this journey to be extremely enriching, not only in building equity, but thinking about activations very differently, leading to dramatic growth in our activations in a way which is far more strategic, far less tactical, bringing equity and business together. Circa 2020, COVID, and that's where I wanted to kind of spend a little bit more time to say, what did we do? Yeah. So March, and you'd obviously started working on what we want to do in 2020. 28th of March was supposed to be the first day of IPL. We had a brand new idea to launch, and we had the new chapter of Generosity to 10 people. And this year, the theme that we took was all about acknowledging the unacknowledged. So in the theme of generosity, picking up all those people who tend to be unnamed, tend to get ignored, tend to be taken for granted, and this whole rise of the power distance in the country, which is resulting in an imbalance. And we felt that generosity could help shed a light on that. We were all set to launch during IPL, and then COVID happened. For a moment, we were really confused. What do we do? There was this whole rhetoric around essentials. Here's a sanitizer is essential. Here's a diaper is essential. This grocery is essential. Chocolate, is it really essential? That's not priority. And obviously that led to a set of self-doubts. We do have different parts of our portfolio that were much more useful, and we pivoted immediately. But what do we do with chocolate was the question we're thinking about. On the same sense, as we're listening and looking at consumers, we clearly realized that they were looking for trusted brands, as already told in the panel. And there was also a desire, as panic was going up, concerns were going up, there's a desire for reassurance, there's a desire for comfort, there's a desire to feel good about being at home with the family. Given that many other things were not accessible, how do we ensure that our lives, and if you look at our own personal context, the steps that we take to make our lives at home a bit more interesting. So we did see a role for our brands, and there was this kind of wider rhetoric, and we were this sense of uncertainty. What do we do? And this wonderful insight, this beautiful story that emerged on social media. This is a picture of a nurse. This is not a sponsored post. There's a nurse in Sion Hospital in Mumbai who was serving the COVID patients and fell sick herself, and she was isolated. And she put this up on her Facebook page to say, it's my birthday today, and my colleagues have come and given me a Cadbury, and I'm celebrating my birthday away from my family, and I'm feeling very good that I'm recovering, feeling very happy. Instantly we realized that there's a role to play. There is a sense that we can do something with the category which is meaningful, with a brand that is meaningful. And that's where we took inspiration, pivoted, and kind of quickly flipped our entire campaign to repurpose it, to ride on this sense of gratitude that this country and possibly the world has been feeling over the past month, about being happy and grateful for the fact that we are secure, we are safe, and that there are so many others who are working tirelessly to keep the world safe. And that's how Thank You came to being. We really believe that we had to express gratitude. All of us do want to express gratitude, but not just in an armchair way. Can we do something where people take action? Can we inspire people? That's how the bars got developed. Can we do that in a language that people can recognize? Can we connect at a regional level? That's where the language is required. We changed our logo for the first time ever, I guess. Incredibly successful. We took it to storytelling. We took it to partnerships, some very, very interesting partnerships through which because we believed in it, because we felt that this is something that needed to be done. A beautiful partnership with Z Network, for example, where every single Z protagonist took their chance to, say thank you to their people around them, the cameramen, the makeup artists, all the people at the sets, who were making the industry come back alive. Partnerships with Mumbai Indians, for example, in the IPL, partnerships with Times of India, partnerships with Sony on KBC, and it can go on and on. I think the other thing that we've realized in the journey of generosity is it's not just about telling, but it's also about doing. We also took the opportunity to convert the thank you bars into an action through which we could get insurance for daily wage earners, domestic workers who typically are not covered in insurance. We felt that they are the people who are most affected. So we worked with an NGO, converted into a meaningful objective, about 17,000 people to date who've received insurance for the first time in their lives, something that they need. So I think that's the other thing that we felt was very important to bring the purpose to life. And I think as we did all of that, and as we brought this initiative out and started talking about it, we realized that our ecosystem needed this. We saw our retailers pick it up and said, hey, this is really nice. I want to do it to my storekeepers. We saw our friends in Big Basket pick it up and give it to every employee. We saw our friends in Marico give it to their factory workers. So I think we could see the fact that expressing gratitude is going to be such an important bit. And if you can create something through which people can take action, it kind of then creates that momentum that kind of takes it to the next level. Of course, I'm conscious of time, and I'm just, kind of wrapping up today how we also brought it up in Diwali through this wonderful initiative which we did for local retailers. And to kind of wrap up, I would say that, it's not just about the fact that it is a super exciting campaign that emerged out of our core purpose of generosity. Obviously, it drove business. It brought a category which people were not certain about to front of store. It brought the category back into something, into every people's house. And we've seen now that home stocking is over-indexing and helping us overcome the drop in out-of-home impulse. It helped us build trust. It helped us build engagement like never before. But most importantly, brings back business. So as I reflect through this journey of generosity and how we've pivoted, converted the crisis into opportunity, and worked hard with the ecosystem to bring it to life, I think the reflection is that especially at times of crisis, consumers are looking for their loved and trusted brands to engage with them. They expect a sense of engagement. They expect a sense of communication. They're out there alone. They need something. And I think being silent is clearly not an option. There has to be clear what I need to engage with. Is it true to who I am? Is it something that is opportunistic because everybody's talking about it today, or is it something that I've always done before? In our case, since we've been talking about generosity for the past few years, it made it easy for us to talk about it in a much more authentic and real way and a credible way that we could own. Yeah? Authenticity becomes important so that we don't seem to be coming out as opportunistic. We don't seem to be coming out as provocative for the sake of being provocative. It's something, I think, keeping in mind that we're not doing something because we want to do it, but because consumers want to experience it in that manner, I think makes it more authentic. Do and not just tell, and I think increasingly, and linked to the last point around consistency, I think the moment we start picking up something and we build it consistently, because then the consumers believe that you're doing it because you believe in it. You're not doing it as a campaign because it's a nice campaign and catches a lot of eyeballs. You believe in it because you want to make a difference. I think these are the aspects that makes the purpose comes to life in a manner which is sustainable, in a manner that impacts the rest of the organization, and maybe something that are not said overtly in the presentation. Generosity begins at home, and hence the way we've responded to our colleagues in our factories, in our sales, in the sales system, in across the functions. I think it's reflected in the way we've handled that, reflected in the way we've managed the situation internally, and that's again resulting in an ecosystem that's far more engaged. So that's my bit around purpose and how purpose helps us pivot, not only during crisis but also during growth. And with that, I hand it back to you, Prabha.
Thank you very much, Anil, and thanks, Samir and Varun. Those were really, I think, fascinating and really insightful stories. I now have a few minutes and have the privilege of asking a couple of questions. Varun, I'm going to start with you. I want to tell you that your son is a lucky man and you must tell him this story as he grows older. The question I have is that as you look back over these 4 years and the success that you've built, if you had to do over, is there anything that you would do differently? And also for all the budding entrepreneurs out there and brand builders out there, if you had to offer some advice, what would it be?
Yeah, from a doing differently perspective, I think I think we have till now, touch wood, have had a dream run, and I very strongly believe in the philosophy of don't fix what's not broken. And so, if you were to ask me what will I change, I will not change a thing. And whatever mistakes we did, right, we learned from them. And if you were to change any of that, then it'll mean we would be a little less wise today. Right? And hence, I would say we'll not touch a thing. And but yeah, from a perspective of what are the four things I would tell other folks who are either budding entrepreneurs or are looking to start something, and someone like me in 2016 who was extremely anxious about this decision, that should I start or not start? It's giving up on a career that I already have, and I'd sort of say five things. And one, what I strongly feel is, failure is a much better place to be than regret, right? Because if you try and fail, then at least you tried, right? But if you don't do something, then time is the most irreversible commodity that we have right now, and that is something that you cannot turn back. And if you have a dream, if you have an itch, if you wanted to do something, then you owe it to yourself. Right? You just owe it to your life to give it a chance. And you can regret the failure, but don't regret not doing it. And so that's the first thing that I would say. And the second thing that I would say is, and all entrepreneurs look for return on investments, best, utilization of money. And there are a lot of avenues for a consumer company to put money in. You have marketing, you have, brand building, you have innovation, and you have technology. And but the one place which will give you the best return on your investment is people, and hence just go out and sell your dreams, sell your pitch, sell yourself, and to the best people out there who can join and really create that dream a reality for you. And third thing that I would say is, consumer is king, queen, and the entire kingdom. And so please keep a very close ear and eye to how they are reacting, responding to what you're doing. And sometimes as we grow or as we start relying on agencies for researches, and we stop talking to the consumer, and that is the worst thing that you can do to a consumer brand. And you've got to do it yourself, and this is a top-down thing. And if you're doing it, your teams will do it. Your teams, their reportees will do it, and suddenly all of you will be far more richer. And that's something that we've been doing from day one, and even today we believe that helps us sort of stay ahead of the curve. And data and technology is again something. Whatever you're thinking, friend, think from an angle of how you can use technology and data and to give your dream a scale that it would otherwise not achieve. And anything which is built on the funnel of data and technology can have multipliers which the physical world does not offer. And so the more you can build that into your construct, and better it will be. And fourth, and very simply, please keep time for yourself and your family. And like I said, time doesn't come back. And while you're doing this, building this, and you shouldn't sort of regret the time you lost with them. So I think these are the things I would say to the budding entrepreneurs out there.
I think, Varun, that's probably good advice for pretty much everybody, and that's certainly wisdom beyond your years, I think. If I can just, Samir, come to you, one number that I saw in your presentation of 30% of your turnover now coming from newly launched products. For a large company, that's really quite staggering. Could you maybe help us to understand what about your brands or your company allows you to do this?
When you look at ITC, you see this very big giant, but at the heart of it, we are a very small company. sometimes we all forget that, ITC was the original incubator. In the last 10, 12 years, 13 years, we have built a business which is 12, 13,000 crores in FMCG. This is pure FMCG. So, we have an entrepreneurial culture. We have entered number of categories. We have won in a lot. We have lost in a few. And so at the heart of it, there is what it is. And so we have our people are brought up in this culture. And, during this COVID time, I can tell you, everybody was innovating in the team. So it did not matter because, we had to chase some, 20 opportunities. You don't have that many people only. Everybody was innovating, whether you were in marketing, whether you were in some other function. There were small teams, 2 or 3 people chasing an opportunity and fixing it and doing it. So culturally, I think we tend to innovate, and we tend to be a little entrepreneurial in the way we innovate. So that's, I think, the difference.
That's really interesting because when you say you're a small company and then you say 12,000 crores, they somehow, they're not necessarily always in the same sentence, but it's great that the culture of the company remains small, even though the turnover of the company might be obviously extremely large. Anil, I'm going to come to you and I always come to you last because obviously the story of Cadbury's is one that touches everybody's heart apart from the product being so very loved. And this idea of thank you has clearly brought back a degree of resurgence into an impulse category. But as you look forward beyond the post-COVID world or whatever world we're calling this as we come out of this, what do you think is going to happen to impulse categories and how do you think Cadbury's will continue to stay ahead of the curve?
Interesting point, Prabha. I think definitely we anticipate that consumer behavior is likely to be muted when it comes to impulse, just by the factor that they're not going to go out as often as they used to. I guess schools, colleges, educational institutions, offices likely to remain, for whatever little we know, remain impacted. And to that extent, even things like leisure, travel, tourism, all of that is going to be impacted. So as a result, out-of-home impulse will remain impacted. So I think that's definitely one aspect that is that tells us that we need to look at alternate avenues. So we are looking at alternate avenues. We do see around us quite a few people trying to do that. And I think the interesting bit is there is a lot of opportunity because it's the share of the wallet. So I think investment, both physical and mental availability, the good old 2 rules, I think will continue to play a big role. Because if I'm salient, I think what we are also seeing is that the consumer is willing to consume us at home as well. So I think salience and availability will continue to play a role, and that's where we have a little bit of strength, and that's where, in a counterintuitive sense, we stay quite aggressive in terms of investment. And I think that's helping us. I think looking at alternative avenues, whether it is e-commerce, you saw that both Samir and Varun also spoke about how it's exploding. Likewise for us. These are new behaviors, but just because of the sheer top of the funnel, the number of people coming in, I think we are able to do a little bit of conversion. And I think there's a lot of experimentation that we're trying to do, Prabha, because a lot of this we don't know. We are good in the offline world. We're learning the online world. Creating an impulse. How do I create a concept of a hoarding as a person is on the digital highway is something that we're trying to figure out. How do I trigger an impulse in the digital world? Because people are working at home. They can't go down for their vada pav anymore, but they need a break. They need a snack. So how can I trigger an impulse at home? So I think a few interesting experiments, because I think the headline is that people are snacking more. I don't think all of us are excited by cooking 3 meals at home. So I think snacking is going up. And I think how can we pivot, stay salient, and experiment are the few things that we're doing.
Okay. Fantastic. And I think that with that, we are nearly at the end of time. So I'm going to borrow a leaf, if I may, from your founder's book on generosity and thank all 3 of you for the generosity of your time and a really fascinating discussion. Thank you very much. And thanks to CII for the platform to be able to do this. I hope all the audience out there found it useful. Thanks very much. And Tanmay, back to you.